He said we're right on him. Without missing a beat, you'll drop your line down to 42 feet. If you don't screw up, it won't be long. Someone in this boat's gonna sing Fish On. Fish on, fish on. Do it by the book, don't take too long. Set the hook, reel it in strong. Fish on, fish on.
You're back with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. Last week, we talked to Larry McQuarrie, also known as Captain Mac, the owner of Sportsman's Cove Lodge on Prince of Wales Island in Alaska. And we didn't even get to talk about the fishing. So, Mac, welcome back. I want to talk a little bit about the great fishing you have there.
You bet, John. Good to be with you.
So let's go ahead and start off with the salmon. I know when people think Alaska, they think two species, salmon and halibut. We'll start off with the salmon. What are the seasons that you have there, and just how good is the fishing?
Well, it's Alaska, right? The fishing's always good. And, fishing's fishing. It can vary. But in general, our fishing is pretty darn good. And we're only open during the peak of the season. They're only open from mid-June through mid-September. So anytime you come, there's going to be something going on. And it may be a lot going on, which would be the norm. Now, we catch, but we don't fish or don't concentrate on the spawners that arrive early in the season. Our fish, our king salmon I'm talking about now, our king salmon are primarily feeders. They're big, fat, sassy, 15, 20, 25. Our record is 55 pounds, 56 pounds, caught last year, actually.
Wow.
And we'll get fish like that through the season. But primarily, our kings are available throughout the season because they're not traveling kings. They're not spawners. They're residents that are hanging around, feeding, getting fat, and ready to go to their rivers maybe in the following year like that. So they're available all year. Mostly you hear about kings early in Alaska, and that is true. But our fish are spawners. They're not as I said, they're spawners, so they're hanging around. They're available all season. In fact, that 56-pounder last year was caught in August, so that gives you an idea. And we had several in that range, not in the 50s, but 30s and 40s at that time. Weren't even spawners. They still had a year to go.
What about the silvers?
Silvers will show up middle of June, and they're fun, boy. They are just a lot of fun. And they grow. They put on, people don't believe this, but it's true. They put on about a pound a week from the time they show up in mid-June to the time we shut down in mid-September. And they're still going wide open in September. We just can't get people to think of Alaska as a destination after, once they get into September and school's closed and typical traditional vacation time is over. But they'll be 12, 14, 16, 18 pounds by the time we get into September. Our lodge record for coho is 23 pounds. But they show up in mid-June as 6-pounders and 7- and 8-pounders, and they'll just do the math, add a pound a week through the season for silvers.
Mac, what is the limit that you can take home from a trip?
We don't have the king salmon limits yet. They won't come out till the abundance index shows up here in April. But we think it's going to be same as last year. For kings, it's going to be one per day, 28 inches or over, and probably 3 annually. And for coho, it hasn't changed. Coho silvers hasn't changed for forever. It's always been 6 fish per person per day with no annual limit. And the same for pink salmon, 6 per day per person, no annual limit. And they show up in July the 4th is kind of what's easy to remember for when they show up. And those little guys are a lot of fun. People poo-poo pinks, but boy, we don't. They are a lot of fun. Our tackle is light, and nothing fights pound for pound like a pink does. Those guys just don't give up. They are very plentiful and a lot of fun.
All right, so that's the salmon. Let's turn our attention to the halibut.
Halibut again the entire season, and there's no time when it's better or worse, or no time when there's bigger or smaller or whatever. They're there all the time, and very typically we will go out in the morning, get our limit of halibut, and then move on to all the various species of salmon. And if we do that, then we can go look for yellow eye, red snapper, yellow eye, ling cod, tons of rockfish. And one of the things that is caught on is true cod, Pacific cod, pea cod.
Interesting.
They are in huge numbers and most of the time, fun to catch because they're wide open when you get into them, and delicious eating. Just ask all the folks that eat at Ivor's restaurants in the Northwest. That's what they serve. They have their own fleet of boats that goes and finds true cod, Pacific cod.
Well, I do love Ivor's Fish and Chips, so yes, I am all over that. Something else I want to talk about here are your charter boats. They are a little different than what everybody else is operating in Alaska. Explain why that is to our listeners.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, the reason is because nobody else has boats like us, because we designed our own boats, and we build our own boats in our own shipyard up in Blaine, Washington. And they are 37-footers. Many Westport charter boats kind of walk-around decks, run-around decks, and a crew of 2, a deckhand and a captain, and a maximum of 6 guests. So, yeah, and the nice heated cabin, a stand-up head, kept spotlessly clean. That's one of our big things is the boats are spotless. It's a huge deal with us, and focus on the heads in particular. They're sanitized every day. Nobody likes going into a head that just, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
I see that so often on charter boats. So they're big. For our part of the world, the typical charter boat in our part of the world in the southeast is a 20-foot something with a little back cockpit and with 4 people jammed in there and the captain, no deckhand, and generally not any heat, and generally not a stand-up head, and that kind of stuff. So ours are definitely different. It's one of the key points of our operation is our boats.
All right. Well, believe it or not, Mac, we are running out of time again. Didn't even get a chance to talk about the fine dining and the great accommodations you have at Sportsman's Cove Lodge, but we will save that for another time. Before we go, let's give folks the website so they can find out more and book a trip with you for this summer.
You bet, John. It's really easy to remember. AlaskasBestLodge.com. Alaska's Best. Don't forget the S after Alaska. Alaska and the possessive. AlaskasBestLodge.com.
That's alaskasbestlodge.com. That's the website for Sportsman's Cove Lodge, just located a short float plane ride away from Ketchikan, which is easy to get to with multiple flights a day to Seattle. That's Sportsman's Cove Lodge. The website again, alaskasbestlodge.com. Go ahead and check it out and book now because space is limited, especially for this summer. Mac, always a pleasure to talk to you on America Outdoors Radio.
You bet, John. Pleasure to talk to you. Look forward to doing it again sometime.
We're going to end this segment the same way we started with one of my favorite, if not my favorite, salmon fishing song. It's called the Fish On Song. It was written and it's been sung by Mark Keller. Now, Mark penned this song after a fishing trip in the northwestern United States, and he lives in California now. Not only is he a musician, but he's also a talented artist. If you want to find out more, just Google Mark Keller, and you can find this song on cdbaby.com. It's the Fish On Song. Enjoy.
Fish on. Close your eyes and quote the scripture, but first get a camera and take my picture. Fish on. Fish on. Whoa, whoa.
I'd like to welcome a new sponsor to our show. It's Sportsman's Cove Lodge, and many anglers who have been there will tell you it really is Alaska's best lodge. Sportsman's Cove Lodge sits on a salmon highway full of kings and silvers. There's halibut too, and there are some really big ones. Finally, with decades of experience taking care of customers, Sportsman's Cove Lodge knows how to treat you right from start to finish. Ready to book your trip of a lifetime? Then call Sportsman's Cove Lodge at 800-962-7889. That's 800-962-7889. 800-962-7889 for Sportsman's Cove Lodge.